I just want to share just some knowledge. Like I'm not rich yet, and I feel like, I agree. Most people agree with me that you shouldn't really talk about something if you're not there and stuff. I can't talk to you about how to be a successful basketball player if I don't play basketball. But I feel like there's certain things, there's just an idea of how that wealth growth plan should consist of. And I feel like I can speak on it because I'm actually doing it. Everybody has doctrinal beliefs, orthodox beliefs on how things should be, but I'm in a good place in life because I kind of didn't do what is the orthodox way of doing things. I actually did things very unorthodox. Therefore, I would just share some ideas. Might be a little different, but I think that they're valid. So, when you work, you work or whatever, I feel like the first thing you should do is whatever place you want to live in, trying to find the best place that you can live at. Being in a good environment is everything. Like, if you want to understand like why a lot of people are the way that they are, it's because of where they live. I remember when I used to live in like undesirable places, when I used to live in certain conditions that were not healthy, I would basically be very antsy. It brings out some bad things. So like I'm not trying to generalize, but if you live like in some bad places, it's gonna affect your behavior. It's gonna affect your attitude. It's gonna affect a lot of things. So try to find the best place that you can live in, where whatever you're paying for your rent or mortgage is less than your total paycheck for the month. Like, you want to find a place where it's less than your paycheck, or if you have a partner, where the amount is less than both paychecks of you and your partner. Whatever your paycheck is and that person's, your rent should be less than that. So my rent is actually more than one paycheck of mine, or about the same. So if I would have went back in time, I would probably try to get a place that is about I actually did good. What I'm trying to say is your paycheck should your paycheck should be more than your rent. Like sometimes people pay rent and it's like the entire paychecks, like both paychecks for the month. Your rent should ideally be less than one paycheck. So in other words, one paycheck, you should be able to pay your rent. You should make enough to where you can pay your rent in one paycheck. Ideally. Or, even better, less than the paycheck of you and your partner together. So that already puts things in balance. So everything else, really, you got to make room for investment. Saving, you shouldn't really save unless it's like something very specific. What you should do instead is invest. So if I would have known this, instead of putting my money in the savings account, I would put my money in the S&P 500. So you can look at the ticker symbol is VOO. V OO. That's the ticker symbol for S&P 500. Wow, a lot of police over there. Look. I'm not even gonna drive up that street. That road is blocked. So check me out. Check this out. So about anywhere from 1% to 5% to 10% of your paycheck should go towards S&P 500. Look, ideally, 10% of your earnings should go towards God. Ideally, you should give your tithe. You should give your tithes. Unfortunately, I don't do it. I don't even have a church. So that's what you should do. But outside of that, you should pay your bills, do whatever that you want to do with your money. But you should, at the beginning stage, you should put anywhere from 1%, whatever you're most comfortable at. 1%, 5%, 10% of your paycheck should go to S&P 500 because it grows every year consistently. It's one of the most consistent investment vehicles, and it has generated a lot of wealth for a lot of people. So with S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies, either in the nation or in the world, and you're basically buying a fraction of each company. You're buying into a fund that invests in all of those companies, and you're getting fractional shares. So it's they say it's at least 10% a year. Like in the worst year, the S&P 500 will be up like 10%. So it went up 38% last year, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say 5% of your paycheck. If you do 1% of your paycheck into the S&P 500 and you get 26 paychecks a year, 26%, about 26% of one paycheck, you basically invest it into the S&P 500. If you take 1% every paycheck and you have 26%, and you have 26 paychecks, you put a total of 26% in the S&P 500, but that would be the 26% of one paycheck. And if you do 5% of your paycheck and you get 26%, you've invested more than 100%. So you invested more than you invested more than one paycheck in the S&P 500 for the year. And if the S&P gives you a return of 10% a year, and let's say that you withdraw about 4%, you cash out 4% a year, and 1% of that money is capital gains. You have 3% money that you can like spend on Christmas or whatever, but you have 6% of your of that profit. You got 6% of that profit compounding, and you do that every year. If you keep doing that, you'll be doing pretty well. If you invest 10% of your paycheck in the S&P 500 and you get 26 paychecks, you invested 260% into the S&P 500. So, and if you withdraw 4% a year and you take 1% and you pay that in capital gain, and the other 3% is yours to do whatever, and the 6% of, if it's 10%, 6% of that you let it compound. But if the S&P 500 compounds even more, and you do that for 30 years, supposedly you'll be a millionaire. And you ain't even do nothing. It's very little risk. So, like I said, 1%. If you're in debt, and if you're in debt and you're going through hard times, do 1%. If you can spare more than 1%, do 5%. And if you're in a comfortable place where you're not in debt and you can pay your bills comfortably, and you can still do do your thing, you have disposable income, do 10%. 10% of your paycheck should go towards S&P 500. Now, that's just like off the bat. If you're doing bad, 1%. If you're doing all right, 5%. If you're doing good, 10%. Always invest in something. Now, your expenses should be very calculated. Your fixed expenses, you should pay that with a credit card that has points. You pay your credit, you pay your bills, your fixed expenses like your phone bill and things like that on a credit card. You can't really pay your rent on a credit card. Most people can't. That's a cash expense. Your car payment is a cash expense. Anything that you can pay with a credit card, a fixed expense, pay it with a credit card. Maybe put gas on a credit card. But make sure everything's calculated. And when you get those points, you convert the cash back. You take that cash back and you buy crypto. You buy altcoins. You buy like Dogecoin. You buy little coins that are less than $10 each. You buy altcoins with that, with the cash, with the cash points. Third, you want to make sure your expenses are on point, because you want to have at least 20%. You want to have at least 20% after your expenses, your recreational expenses, your fixed expenses, anything that costs money. And after you save, you need to have some money aside. After you spend your money on whatever it is you spend your money on, and you saved up to 10% on S&P 500, after everything, you should have at least 20% available that you can invest. Like I said, S&P 500 is technically an investment, but we're treating it as a savings account. So after everything, your bills, eating out, whatever, saving your money in the S&P 500, having an actual savings account, a high yield savings account that pays 5% a year, you want to use that for money that you're gonna access later. So with the S&P 500, you're not really touching that money until you cash out like 4%. But any money that you're gonna touch at some point in a few months to a year, maybe Christmas time, maybe like Black Friday, you need to put that money in a high yield savings account, so that when you do withdraw it, you have some profits. So after all that, you should have at least 20% that you can invest with. So 20% that you can invest with, or $400, like whichever one is higher. So let's say that you have $400. You need to learn you need to buy some Ripple. If Ripple's at $2.40, you need to buy at least $240 with the Ripple. So you need to be investing in Ripple. like I said, Bitcoin and all that, that's you're gonna spend that, you're gonna buy that with your cash, with your cash rewards from your credit card. Because Bitcoin is so expensive, it's not worth buying, $100 of Bitcoin and this and that. You're better off buying $100 of worth of Ripple. So buy Ripple while you can before it gets expensive. In addition to that, let's say you have $200 left. I want you to invest in trading courses. I want you to learn how to trade. I want you to learn how to trade Forex. I want you to learn how to trade futures. I want you to learn how to trade binary options. So now you have, let's say you have $200. With $200, you can basically get all 5 Top Step accounts, which is $49 a piece, and you can start trading futures. When you pass the challenge, you're gonna pay an activation fee of $150 per account. So what you're gonna do is, on your next paycheck, or when you on a paycheck that you get, depending on when you actually hit profit, you're gonna activate those accounts. So now you have a bunch of 50K accounts that give you a limit of $2,000 a drawdown, and if you make $100 on each one, you've made $500 a day. So you already in less time than everybody else, by doing something different than the traditional route. In a matter of months, you're now making $500 a day trading futures. So what you're gonna do is, now that you're trading futures, you got more money coming in. You literally increased your income. So that now the game starts. So whatever your rent is, you want to cover that for the whole year, because right now, you're depending on your job or whatever. So you pay your rent for the whole year with the trading profits. If you're making $500 a day, that's $2,500 a week. That's $10,000 a month. So in 2 or 3 months, you could probably pay off your rent. You could probably pay your rent for the whole year in 3 months. Now, you don't have that rent expense anymore. Now, let's talk about income tax returns. When you get your income tax returns, you're going to put that in a Forex account. You're going to open your own account at a regulated broker, and you're going to invest that amount, and you're going to scalp. You're going to be scalping. So try to get an accountant that's going to give you the most amount of money that you can get without being audited. Let's say you get 10 grand. Let's say you get 5 grand. 5 grand, you put that in a Forex account. 5 grand times 1% is $50. So if you're trading 5 grand times 5% is $250. So if you do a 2-to-1 ratio, you can risk $125 to make $250. Now you're making $250 per day. But if you're like me, let's say you are 5,000 and you risk 5%. You risk 5% and you have a 90% win rate. So your losing streak, your losses are going to be very rare. So you can make about $250 a day. So 5% times 5,000 times 5% is $250. So you can make $100 or $250 a day. That's just on your Forex account. That's not the futures account. The futures account you can purchase with your own paycheck. So just like that, you made some moves way ahead of everybody else. Everybody else is thinking bullshit, thinking about whatever. you already you got a cheat code. You already surpassed all of them. Like in one paycheck, you already made a move that can change your life forever. In one paycheck, you bought $50 accounts. You spent $250 buying all the futures accounts and Top Step. Now you're leveraging them. You got your tax return, and you could put that in your trading account. Now you're trading Forex and you're trading futures. You're trading both of them. So if Forex is making you $250 and the other accounts are making you $500, now you're making $750 a day. $750 a day times 5, that's $37.50. That can pay your rent. That can probably pay 2 months of rent for some people. Times 4, that's $15,000. 2 months of that can basically pay my entire rent for the year. So now I don't have to worry about rent. Now I have my job, I have futures, and I have Forex. I have all three sources of income. So a paycheck that would probably be like, let's say $2,000, just an example. Now your paycheck is more like 17,000 versus $2,000. So in one conversation, I already solved all those problems. So you take those profits and you cover your expenses for the year. You cover your rent, then you cover, your next big expense, pay off your debts. Whatever your expenses are, you use an avalanche. You go from the biggest to the smallest. So you cover your rent first, or your mortgage for the year. Let's say your next biggest bill is like your car payment. You can pay off your car, or you can cover your car payment for the year. You do that by putting your money in like I said, in a savings account. You need a cash reserve, and it pays. It could be a checking account where you put all that money in, and it'll automatically deduct it every month from that place. Different ways to do it. You can use your credit card, and then pay the credit card and get the points and use the points to buy crypto. You could put your money in a high yield savings account and just withdraw it every month, and whatever profit you get from the savings account, it's additional profit. But the most important thing is that you already solved your life just like that, easily. Like I went from talking about regular stuff to boom, like that. You solved your problems just because you know how to trade. The people that don't know how to trade, they're gonna have to like struggle for years. The people that don't know how to trade, they're gonna go on the slow path. The people that know how to trade, they'll get there faster. So if you know how to trade Forex and you know how to trade futures, you're ahead of almost everybody in the world. Not even 1% of the world can trade futures and Forex at the same time, but you can, and it's easy. So just like that, you solved your problems. So now you have so much income available, your expenses are covered. So now you can allocate a majority of your income into investing. Now you can, you can scale your account. With the profit that you're making from trading, you can actually, put that in pocket options. Now you're trading binary options. Now you can open other trading accounts, put all of them in a trade copier, and all of them is making money. You can go and get prop firm accounts from different companies, put them all in a copier. Get a bunch of futures accounts, put them all in a trade copier, do the same thing. So that's what you do, man. You just leverage, you just scale up. And now you can have a whole designated account just to basically buy S&P 500. And then with the profits from the S&P 500, you can, buy more crypto. You can buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a whole bunch of Ripple. You can start buying individual stocks, high performing stocks, growth stocks that grow over time. You can have a portfolio of just REITs, is endless, but it all starts from trading. Like the foundation is trading. There's no question about it. Like people got to wake up. Like I don't even try to talk to people about it no more. I don't try to tell my coworkers like, yo, you should be like, you should be locking in with me so we can trade together. I don't even do that no more. I don't care. Like I really don't care. Fuck everybody. I'm doing this for myself. So trading is the foundation. Everything starts from trading. Without trading, man, it's a waste of time, bro. Just learn how to trade and bypass all the nonsense. All right, I'm in Wawa. I'm addressing the